If you're thinking about moving to Fargo-Moorhead, maybe you lived here in the past and you're thinking about moving back, or you're thinking about relocating or having to relocate for a job here in the booming Fargo-Moorhead metro, you need to watch this video. I'll be going over everything: weather, taxes, house prices, and if you stay tuned till the end of this video, I'll tell you the #1 thing that most people are surprised about when they move to Fargo, North Dakota. So stay tuned. The first thing you need to know about Fargo is the weather. The weather here in Fargo, it varies a lot. In the winters, it can get to -30, -40 below, and then in the summers, it can get well over 100 degrees. So with a lot of temperature variance like that, obviously we're gonna have hot and humid summers, and we're gonna have cold and then a lot of snow in the winters. Then in the spring and the fall season, that's when the temperature varies a lot and it changes quick. We're living that example right now here in Fargo. For the past week, it's been 40 to 60 degrees and warm here in March. Then this weekend, it's supposed to get cold and snow again, even though we have no snow on the ground right now. So the temperature and the weather varies a lot here in Fargo. You need to know that before moving here, that the temperature varies a lot. It's gonna get super cold, it's gonna get snowy, it's gonna get windy. We have 4 distinct seasons here in Fargo. We have a distinct fall, spring, winter, and summer. So you're gonna have to shovel your snow and shovel the driveway in the winter, and then you're gonna have to mow your grass and mow it a lot in the summer. So there's 4 distinct seasons here in Fargo, and you need to know that before you move here to Fargo-Moorhead. The next thing about Fargo is there is a lot of limited public transportation. You know, Fargo being the biggest city of North Dakota, there's around 250,000 people in this metro. But if you compare that to other metros around the country, like Chicago, Detroit, you know, all those big cities, Minneapolis, we don't have a subway here. We don't have a train system like a lot of those cities do. We do have public buses, but that's kind of it for public transportation. And we do also have bikes that are rentable, but again, no one wants to rent a bike when it's -40 out or it's snowing out or it's wet out. So buses are kind of the only form of public transportation we have, which we get it, it's limited here, but also we have a lot of people who will drive to work, carpool to work, or get to work that way here in Fargo, and the commute times are very low compared to those other big cities. From the western side of West Fargo all the way to the eastern side of Dilworth, it's gonna take you, 25, 30 minutes max, where Minneapolis, one side of Minneapolis, the other, it's gonna take you hours. So that's the thing in Fargo. It's a big metro, but the commute times are really low. Now, the next thing you need to know about moving to Fargo before you actually move here is the sports culture here in Fargo. Very, very passionate about sports. So obviously you have the NDSU Bison, which everybody kind of knows, and that's what Fargo is known for, the football team specifically. But also there's a lot of other sports with all the other colleges are here, like Concordia, MSUM, then of course NDSU, then also the high schools. There's a ton of different high schools here who are really good at sports, have a lot of kids who are interested in sports, passionate about sports, and a lot of people are passionate about it. So that's a thing. There's a lot of rivalries with that, a lot of great games, a lot of great activities and events, and that is what people love to do here in Fargo, is play sports, watch sports, and be a part of sports. So that's one thing you need to know about moving to Fargo, North Dakota before you actually move here, is the sports scene here in Fargo. And it doesn't matter what level, youth level to college and beyond, Red Hawks, there's a lot of passion for sports and a thing people love to do, watch, and play. Now, if you're thinking of moving to Fargo, North Dakota, I'm Zachsykora, your redheaded real estate agent, a part of the Living in Fargo-Moorhead team. We've helped countless people move to, from, in, and around this Fargo-Moorhead region. Now, if you have any questions or you're thinking of making a move here, feel free to reach out to us by giving us a call or shooting us an email. The next thing you need to know about living in Fargo is the great downtown atmosphere. Now, the downtown of Fargo is unmatched by anywhere else in North Dakota and almost the Midwest. Downtown Fargo has a lot of activities, a lot of breweries, wineries, nightlife, things to do down in downtown Fargo that you're not really gonna find anywhere else in North Dakota. That's one thing about makes Fargo so great, is it's a small city and it's a Midwest city, but we actually have a downtown and we actually have nightlife here. So that's what people love to do here in Fargo, North Dakota, go to the nightlife downtown, enjoy all that downtown Fargo has to offer. The next thing you need to know about Fargo before you actually move here is, I already touched on it earlier, it's a college town. We have NDSU, we have MSUM, Concordia, M-State, Rasmussen, and NDSCS all here in Fargo-Moorhead. Now that's a lot of colleges. So with that, there's a lot of college kids here. There's a lot of people moving constantly in and out with college and all the jobs with college and that sort of thing. So you have to know that it's a college town, which can bring a lot of growth and a lot of change to the area. Then again, also a lot of sports in the area, things to do, and a lot of things tailored towards that group of people of college kids here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Now, one thing about the colleges that people don't know, and something that just started here in Fargo, North Dakota, is that MSUM, a college on the Moorhead side, and Moorhead High School actually have a deal. So if you have a higher GPA in Moorhead High School to a certain threshold, you actually get free tuition to MSUM. Yeah, free tuition. So if you have a good enough GPA, that's the only requirement. You get free tuition to MSUM. So you can imagine how great that is and how great of an opportunity that is for people who live in Moorhead to get free tuition to college, to not have student debt, and to start out your life on that path. So there's a lot of people that they'll stay in town for college, even though they grew up here in Fargo-Moorhead, just because they love it, their family's here, that sort of thing. Then also the financial ability here in Fargo-Moorhead that the colleges are really affordable. So that's the thing you need to know about Fargo, that it's a college town. There's a lot of colleges here, a lot of people here, and you need to know that before moving here to Fargo. And remember to stay tuned till the end of this video where I talk about the number one thing that people don't realize before they actually move here to Fargo, North Dakota. The number 6 thing you need to know on our list about moving to Fargo before you actually move here is special assessments. Now, special assessments are taxes that are separate from your normal property taxes for improvements to that specific property. So for example, let's say there's an area who's putting in a new sidewalk. Someone needs to pay for that sidewalk, of course. So all the homeowners in that area are going to get special assessment taxes for that sidewalk. So it's going to be split up in installments and in loans for just 10, 20 years. That's going to be paid on top of and separate to your normal property taxes, and it's only going to be for the improvements to that property. So if you live in North Fargo, there's a new sidewalk being put in West Fargo, you're not going to get specials for it. But if you live in West Fargo in that area, you're going to get specials for it. So that's one thing that's really unique to Fargo that no other city really has here in the whole entire Midwest is special assessments. Now, if you want to see a video on special assessments, how they work, why we even have them in the first place, and how they work here in Fargo-Moorhead, go ahead and check out the Living in Fargo-Moorhead channel. I post a ton of informational content for you because I know, as someone who moved here from a different city myself, there's a lot of things I didn't know about Fargo when I moved here, so I wanted to share that information with you so you know it before you actually make a move here to Fargo-Moorhead. The next thing that you need to know about Fargo-Moorhead before you actually move here is the affordable housing. Housing is really, really affordable here in Fargo-Moorhead. Now, it doesn't matter if you're buying a house or if you're renting or if you're deciding to own, it doesn't matter, it's affordable either way. The rents are lower and the houses are cost lower here in Fargo compared to almost everywhere around the whole entire country. The average price of a home here in Fargo is around $350,000, and in Moorhead, it's $270,000. Then combine that with the great first-time homebuyer programs here in this area with down payment assistance and lower interest rates. This can be a really great program and a really great way for people to get into their first home and start building that wealth with homes. Even though houses may be super expensive in other parts of the country, they're not super expensive here in Fargo-Moorhead, making the housing affordable and a great opportunity for people to get into homes. Now, even if you're not at a point in your life where you're ready to buy a home, renting is affordable here in Fargo too. You'll find Fargo has almost 30-40% more affordable rents than all the other major cities across the country. Now, that is one of the reasons why Fargo is so great, is the low cost of living with housing and all the other categories combined. Now, the next thing you need to know about Fargo is the traffic and the commute times. So, being the biggest city here in Fargo-Moorhead, there's got to be more traffic here in Fargo-Moorhead than there is in a ton of other small cities all throughout the state of North Dakota. Now, we have a ton of people constantly reaching out to the channel because they're moving back to Fargo from a small city in North Dakota because they want to be closer to family or closer to all the amenities here in the area. So the thing is, you're going to have more traffic in this area because there's a lot more people here in Fargo. Now, the thing is, it also depends on the time of day. So, 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be a lot of traffic because everybody's going to work, or 4 to 5 o'clock at night. So it can get really busy and it can take you longer to commute places. But then one thing you got to keep in mind, you travel at different times, it could be less of a commute. But also you got to know, when you compare it to other major cities like Minneapolis, the commute is nothing compared to Minneapolis and compared to New York and compared to the number of people moving there. That is the thing. That commuting, yes, it's obviously going to be more busy here than a small town in North Dakota with 4,000 or 5,000 people, but it's still going to be good because you can get places and get there on time and get there in reasonable time when you compare it to the huge cities of like Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit. So that's the thing about living in Fargo-Moorhead. You need to know the traffic. It's worse than other places in North Dakota, but it's bearable and something you have to deal with living here in Fargo, North Dakota. The next thing and the 9th thing on our list before we get to the number 1 thing that people don't tell you about living in Fargo before they actually move here is all the dining options here in Fargo, North Dakota. Of course, being the biggest city in the whole entire state of North Dakota, there's a very diverse food scene here in Fargo, North Dakota. We have tons of food from American, Mexican, Japanese, Thai, and everything in between, bringing a ton of opportunity to people to maybe try foods they haven't tried before or to test their palate out here in Fargo when other places across the state only have a certain few options that are available to them. So that's another great thing about living in Fargo, is the diversified and the abundance of food options here in Fargo, North Dakota. Now, thanks for staying tuned until the end of this video, where I give you the #1 thing that people don't tell you about Fargo when you actually move here. Now, that is how windy it is here in Fargo. Fargo is super, super windy all throughout the year. It doesn't matter if it's summer, winter, whatever it is, it's windy all the time. Now, North Dakota is really flat. We don't have any mountains. We don't have any super deep valleys. We don't have any huge forests here in Fargo or in North Dakota. So with that, it's mainly fields. And with that, it gets really, really windy here. So you'll commonly see getting wind chills in the winter to -30, -40 below due to that wind blowing in. It may only be 0 degrees out, but with the wind, it can get to -10, -20 degrees with those 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. And those winds, they don't just happen in the winter, they happen in the summer too. So it's always windy here. That's just something you have to keep in mind when moving to Fargo, North Dakota. Due to the landscape and due to the flat area, it's always windy here, and that's just something you have to deal with moving to Fargo, North Dakota. Now, thanks for watching this video on the 10 things you need to know about Fargo, North Dakota before you actually move here. Now, if you're interested in making a move to, from, in, or around Fargo, North Dakota, I'm Zachsykora, your redheaded real estate agent. I've helped countless people move in this area and around this area. And you can reach out to me by giving me a call at the number on the screen now or shooting me an email.